Hi, I'm Pete Hansen with Spanish Fork 17. You know, sometimes here in Spanish Fork we think we're a small town. We think that not much happens here that's of any interest to anyone else around the state or even around the globe. Well, sometimes things happen, even here in Spanish Fork, that puts us onto a worldwide stage. And today we're going to talk about just one of those events that has taken Spanish Fork not only statewide, nationally, but also around the world. My guest today is Tyler Beddoes. Tyler, nice to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Pete.
Thank you, Tyler. Tyler is a 10-year veteran of the Spanish Fork Police Department and a Spanish Fork native. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up in Benjamin, not far from here, so still Spanish Fork's my home, but went to high school here, stayed here. My wife and I live here, so it's nice to stay in the community that I grew up in.
Very good. And you joined the police department 10 years ago?
Yes.
Started off as a patrolman?
I did. I started off, it's gone by quick, but I started off as a patrolman, just continued to, I just stayed. I love the city. I love the people here. It's a great department, great place to work.
Awesome. And over those 10 years now, you've gone from patrolman to a detective, and you're in the investigation team?
Well, so I started in patrol. That's usually where you start. I went into investigations for a little while, a couple of years there, and now I'm back on patrol now.
Oh, are you?
So
okay.
You kind of rotate through assignments and things, and that's where I'm at now.
So I can imagine being a patrolman or any kind of officer in the police force, you see every part of the city. You see the good parts, you see the bad parts. There's a lot of different things you have to encounter as a patrolman.
Yeah, it's such a broad, you never know day to day what's going to happen. You come to work and sometimes you see good and sometimes you see bad, but you do see the mix around for sure.
I hope you see a lot more good than you see bad.
Well, you hope that. That's always what you want.
But you had to run a time there where things weren't going really well for you.
Correct.
You had some experiences with some horrific crimes here in town or in the area here. Some that we talked about before we started this program. You mentioned the incident where the father had beaten his son and eventually killed his son. What was your role in that, and how did that make you feel?
It was a tough case. I was new to detectives at the time. I got a call from our lieutenant that said, we have this situation, there's a dad that had killed his son, and it was tough. We didn't know, I guess, at the time what had happened, but to go into a scene like that, as any police officer or whatever it is, it's just a tough situation to wrap your mind around what occurred and to really think, do we really live in a society where things like that can happen? So it was tough. That was a tough case.
Yeah, it would be. Just have that kind of relationship destroyed and right in the public forum, if you will.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. And then after that, you were involved also with the Boren case, well known here in the area.
Yep, that was about 6 months after, and that's what hit me so hard was you had this case that's just starting to get over, and then boom, the Boren case happened, and that one really that was tough for this community. It was tough for all of us that worked on it, had a hand in it, whether it was the patrol officers, detectives, anyone that had a hand in that. It was just a tough situation to walk into a scene where you got a couple dead children that are similar in age to mine. Really shook my faith in things, and that was very tough for me.
Yeah, so you're a Benjamin, hometown boy here, living in our culture, living within this environment. You are of the LDS faith.
Yes.
And that's got to shake things up.
It did. It was tough. It was, I was just, like I said, from the first one, I was starting to kind of come back to reality a little bit, and then this one hits, and, you have two kids that are similar in age, boy and a girl, and it's a boy and a girl on this scene, and so it really, to me, it was, I started to doubt God, which wasn't the right thing to do, but I did. I started to test my faith and think, is this really what we're here to do, or what's going on? And so that was tough. That was a very tough thing for me and my family and anyone involved in it.
Yeah. Now, what year was that? That was 2000. The Boren case would have been
2014.
So just a year and a half ago.
Yep.
Or so, almost 2 years ago. Wow. So did that kind of change your approach to work? When you have a loss of faith, whether it be in deity or just even in mankind, how did that affect you in your work?
It was tough because I think you approach work differently. Like I said, I love the city, I love the people here, but you come to work, I think you get a little bit hardened, I guess is the word, and you start getting a little bit negative, and that rubs off. When you see a lot of negative things, it just rubs off on you and kind of makes you a little bit bitter, negative. So that it did affect me.
I can imagine it would. It was hard to patrol the streets without looking for the bad.
Yeah, and every
would just
time you
turn your
pass
attitude.
that house or things come back to you, and it is tough.
Yeah, yeah. Well, then we had an incident here just this past year that took Spanish Fork from, again, the small town, no one cares about us, to an international level.
Right.
Tell us about the story. Go ahead and just give us that whole timeline.
This story, this really changed my life, changed a lot of our lives that were there. With Lily Grosbeck, the miracle, the rescue that happened there. It was just a normal Saturday morning. I was at lunch. We got a call that there's a car in the river, Spanish Fork River, and I know a lot of you have all heard the story, but we didn't know what happened, or we didn't know what occurred. When we get there, the car's upside down. We can tell there's somebody trapped inside. It was at that moment that we heard a female voice that said, "Help me," along those lines. And so that's when there were 4 of us, Harward, DeWitt, and Warner, and myself, trying to get the car righted to see what was inside. And that's when we were able to push the car into its side. The mother was deceased. She'd been there quite some time, and there was a small infant in the back that was strapped in unconscious as well.
The miracle baby.
Yes, and we actually, when we pushed the car, it dumped her underwater as well. And so, I mean, it was just the whole situation. Her being trapped 14 hours, we figured.
Wow.
Being dunked in water for 2 minutes in freezing cold conditions, and coming out of that and surviving. And it was, it was a miracle. It was incredible to be a part of.
Yeah. And I know recently the city recognized all of the individuals, officers, and fire department and rescue people that were involved. Marvelous work for the city to do this.
It was, like I said, it's to work with such incredible people. I mean, the police department, fire, ambulance, they're all just, I mean, my hat's off to all of them. They're incredible people. They did an amazing job, and that wasn't a one-person incident that day. It took, tons of us to get that to really work out. But it really had changed my life. The voice that we heard and the feelings I got there, it really made me do a 180 in how I approach life.
So there were 4 or 5 of you there at the scene at that
4
point.
initially. Yep.
Initially, yeah. And the 4 of you all heard the voice.
Yes.
This voice, was it like a yell, a scream? Was it a quiet voice? What kind of voice was that?
It was kind of I wouldn't say a yell, but just to help me. A
So
voice
it was a
to
plea
where-
of some kind.
Correct. Yep. And that's when we all looked at each other and think someone's still alive in the car.
Wow.
And when we realized that, let's see, the mother had been deceased for quite a long time. The child couldn't talk. She was a young infant and also unconscious. It really threw a loop into the whole thing on what happened. And to hear the voice with the feelings I got and talking to all of them that we got it changed my faith like we had just talked about. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is just amazing. Well, that little incident right there, that was a Saturday morning, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
That little incident hit the local papers, local news, local television, went national very fast.
It did.
You were on CNN
Yes.
talking
CNN
with Anderson Cooper. How was that?
It was a little crazy. It was
crazy.
interesting, but
A little bit bigger than Channel 17 here.
hey,
but,
this is big.
This
Spanish
is all
is
right.
big
Yeah,
news,
thanks.
yeah.
But that put you onto the national limelight right there.
It did. It was just kind of an instant. You're getting pulled in different directions. Hey, will you do this interview? Do this, and at the time you're still trying to process everything that occurred the day before or the day of, and so it was tough. It was tough to try to, but it worked out, and I think we all did what we had to do.
Yeah, well, but it continued to grow.
It did.
Not only nationally, it's international.
Right.
I know within the media I could see that there was attention being made to this or brought to this from all over the world.
Right.
And it continues today.
It does.
And so that's why we're kind of here today.
Mm-hmm.
Through this incident, you had some thoughts and some ideas and how it changed your life, and you decided that you wanted to maybe write a book about this.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened.
Well, it really hit home where, a couple days after the incident, starting to kind of digest what happened and figure it out. It was, I about a year before that started writing down my thoughts and, like journal entries for the Boren homicide and the others to try to really keep a good mind on what I was doing for self-therapy stuff. And I started getting emails all over the world. I got some from, Japan and the UK and I think Switzerland and all of USA, of course, and Canada. tell us about this. Will you tell us what was the voice? And it really struck a chord with people, I think, because obviously the miracle, but the voice, it was kind of what people were starving for. And I think that's why it's a story that hasn't really, lost touch. People really want to know what happened. And so that was really when I started to think, I'd like to share it. I think it's a powerful story. It helped and turned my life around. Why can't I do this and help others?
Okay. So you started to write down some thoughts and ideas. You went looking for some help from somewhere.
Yeah, I was introduced. I started getting some ideas together. Introduced to a literary agent in New York City. Said, hey, here's some ideas, thinking she'd probably say you're crazy, but she was really good, and she introduced me to a couple of writers. I talked with the writer and came up with Ptolemy Tompkins, my co-writer on this book. We kind of clicked, and he said, this is what I would like. I sent him some stuff, he sent me some stuff, and we really just meshed together, and we have a great friendship today, and we worked nonstop on this book from, really from May till now. So it's been good.
Now, he has written a book previous to this. That was called the Proof of
Heaven.
Proof of Heaven.
Yeah, he wrote that book with a guy named Dr. Eben Alexander, and it was a New York Times bestseller, great book. And so he was kind of in the process of writing a book about angels, and my stories fit into that. And so it was good timing. He's a great guy, and it worked out really good for us. So this book we're doing is Proof of Angels, so we're excited about it.
Very good. So Proof of Angels will be released nationally when?
February.
In February
2016.
2016.
Yep,
Yeah.
2016, so a couple months now. But
coming pretty quick.
It is. It's coming quick. It's been exhausting, but it's been fun. I'm excited to share it.
So as part of this publishing date and so forth, that's not the only thing. You're going to be going out on some book tours and other events going on. Mm-hmm. Tell us about some of the plans you have for that.
Well, initially we're going to New York City, 1st of February when the release time, doing some national shows and things there. And then they've talked about London. Still have a full-time job here. This is where my heart is, but I need to try to juggle some things for sure. But
a lot of vacation and leave.
Yeah, vacation, leave, and hope it works out.
So traveling around the world doing different events and so forth.
Yeah.
But the big kickoff event will happen right here in Spanish Fork.
Yeah, it was when I was talking to the publisher, my wife, family, I really wanted to kick things off here. This is where the incidents happen. The citizens here have been amazing to me, supportive of me, and so I really wanted to start an event here. So I teamed up with Booth Brothers, and we're doing a hometown event here, a book release event on the 12th of February, which is a Friday night, to kick off the release.
Okay, and what's going to happen at that event?
I was fortunate to get Frankie Corrigan. He hosts 97.1 ZHT's The Morning Zoo. He's a popular, funny guy. He's going to host it for us, so I'm fortunate for that. And then Ryan Innes, he performed on The Voice, contestant there. He's going to sing and perform there. And then I'll talk and do a little book signing. It'll just be a fun community event.
Very good. And that will happen in the Main Street Theater,
Yeah.
the Booth Brothers Theater.
It will. Tickets are on sale now, eventbrite.com. I would love to see anyone from the city out. It's going to be, I think it'll be a fun event just right on Main Street, and we're excited for it.
Awesome. That will sound like a good time.
Yeah.
And we'll be there. We'll be there to help cover that
you.
for the city and for our residents there. That's awesome. That's congratulations on what you've been able to turn bad events to good events to what you're doing now.
Right.
That is awesome.
Thank you. It's been, like I said, it's been tough. There's some negative in the book because of those things, but the overall message was how it really changed my faith, changed me, and made me different. So I'm thankful for it.
Congratulations to you, and we're happy to have you here in Spanish Fork as part of our police force.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
very
for
much.
your time.
Thank you,
So,
Pete.
February the 12th at Booth Brothers downtown, there'll be a big event. Tyler Beddoes and his party of fun going on there for the release of Proof of Angels that night. Thank you very much, Tyler. This has been a good interview. I appreciate the information, and I'm glad your life is going so well now.
Thank you. Appreciate it.